Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
The 17th, and we need a motion. All right, Dr. Yang has made a motion. Is there a second? Second by Doug Criddle. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Then the other item for tonight is the approval of the 24-25 first interim financial report. Jennifer?
It's on? Oh, okay, there I am. Thank you. Good evening, President Davis, Board of Trustees, Cabinet members, and our MJUSD community. It's my pleasure tonight to present to you the first interim budget for our 24-25 fiscal school year. In this presentation, I'm going to go over a few items. I'm going to go over our budget cycle. I will go through our unrestricted general fund and our restricted general fund. I'll talk about our one-time dollars. I'll go into our general fund summary, our multi-year projections, and then what's coming up next. So this is our budget cycle, and just as a reminder, we're constantly working in a 3-year cycle. We're looking back at the prior year, we're in our current year, and then we're planning ahead for the upcoming year. So right now, as you can see, we're in the first interim financial report. We just brought to you back in September the unaudited actuals. And then next month in January, we're going to learn what the governor's proposing for the 25-26 school year. So our general fund is divided into 2 areas. It's unrestricted and restricted. The unrestricted general fund is typically our operating budget. And I'm going to go through the differences and variations from adopted budget to first interim. And I'm going to start with the revenues for unrestricted general fund. You can see in that bottom right-hand corner, we have a total revenue increase of $2.1 million. Those are mostly coming from our LCFF sources, which is our local control funding. That's not right. Local control funding formula. Thank you. Drew a blank. And that increased from our projections in May of about 0.9. That's due to we underestimated a little bit with our TK enrollment, and then we did a fabulous job out at the sites. Brian Williams' team got those program funding forms in, and our unduplicated count increased, which brought us in some more higher revenue. Our other state revenue has increased by $1.2 million. That is due to our teacher residency grant that we had the carryover from 23-24, and then we received a little more in our fourth quarter lottery money than we expected from 23-24. The differences in our expenditures for the unrestricted general fund was a decrease of $0.3 million overall. And you could see that throughout our salaries and benefits and our books and supplies. And on these next couple slides, I'll go through those reasons. We had a lot of carryover from 23-24 that we carried up into our 24-25 budget. We also had a decrease in salary and benefits that we moved some unrestricted dollars into the restricted side to help relieve some of the stress on our unrestricted budget. And then we had some increases from our capital improvements from prior year projects. Now I'm going to talk about a restricted general fund and the differences from adopted budget to first interim. With our revenues, we've increased about $6.9 million from June. Those are due to mostly carryovers from our prior year. For federal funds, we had our ESSER 3, the last of our ESSER money that had to be spent by September 30th of this year. We had our Title I dollars that we carried over. And then we also had some other state revenue grants, such as our ACES after school program, CTE, CTIG, K-12 Strong for Workforce. We also had some local revenue with our Medi-Cal billing and other local grants. And then our contributions increased to SPED programs for student support resources like speech and health. We've had extra costs. So in our restricted general fund expenditures, we had an increase of $31.7 million. And those were due to carryover, as I mentioned, with the revenue, and then also moving those unrestricted salary and benefits to the restricted side. We had the capital outlay, very similar to the revenue reasons. So as I said before, we are at the end of our ESSER dollars. We had all those about over $50 million worth of dollars of COVID relief funds come in over to the district. Those are now spent. Now we are into that balancing act. We have some one-time dollars to bridge with the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, and we're gonna have to start balancing that budget and getting those one-time dollars and expenditures removed from our budget. So this is a little recap of that Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant. It's good. We have till September 30th of 2028 to spend. There now has been some changes that we have a plan that's required. It has to go to the board. It's being treated much like our LCAP. And then right now our 24-25 budget allocation is $2.9 million with a carryover of 12.8. The total allocation we received was 13.5 million. So what does that mean for our general fund summary? For our restricted and unrestricted coming together, we have a total fund balance of 62.2 million. And you can see in this box up here, it shows you the unrestricted, restricted in total. We had a total, our budgeting revenues at about 185 million, with expenditures about 216 million, leaving us with a fund balance of 62 million. So the components of the fund balance, what makes up that 62 million is we have revolving cash and estimated ending inventory. We also add in our restricted dollars. Then we have assignments and economic uncertainty, which is 3% of our expenditures. That's mandated by the state. And that gives us that makes up our 62.2 million. So as we're preparing our first interim, we always have to look out at the 2 subsequent years and look at our multi-year projections. It's our budgeting tool. And when we do that, there's assumptions that we use. We take into consideration the COLA that is projected for those years. We take into our local control funding formula, which takes into account our enrollment and ADA projections. And then we also use expenditure planning factors, a 2% step in column, and then our projected STRS and PERS rates. And that's how we come up with these numbers on this screen, projecting out for the next 2 years. So you can see that we are showing we're deficit spending this year about 3.5 million, and in the 2 out years, 3.1 million in 25-26 and 1.1 million in 26-27. And that's for our unrestricted general fund. So our next steps, we're gonna start our LCAP and learning recovery meetings. We'll have the governor's budget proposal, as I said, in January. We'll have capital advisors, typically comes in February, to talk to us about the state economy and how that impacts our budgets. And then our second interim report will be presented to the board in March of 2025. I'd like to say thank you to the fiscal department, Cindy Helms. They've worked really hard to get our budget tightened up from budget adoption to first interim, and I really appreciate everything that they do. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Are there any questions for Jennifer from the board?
Jennifer, I have one question that was a little bit surprising for me. On the other state revenue, the decrease, ELOP had a decrease of 6.6 million.
Yes, thank you. I meant to talk to that.
Oh, okay.
Yes, thank you for reminding me. I did blow right through that. When we restarted the ELOP program, I think it was 3 years ago, we received like a lot of money to implement a after-school program, and we only had a certain amount of time to spend it. And then the next year we received another quite a bit of money, around 10 million each time. And so we've been hustling, and they have a booming program going. We just couldn't get it all spent by the deadline of June 30th. So that will be paid back to the state, and we're not alone. There are so many districts out there that could not spend it all. We just weren't allotted enough time.
Okay, so this isn't a reduction of services, it was because we couldn't keep up with the funding.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Any other questions from the board for Jennifer? If not, Angela Stiegel has a comment card. All right, thank you. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. This is an action item.
Yes. If there are no other questions, do I have a motion? Motion approved by Doug Criddle. Is there a second? Second by Allison Hasty. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. So we're going to move to public comments. We have 3. We start with Jill Williams again, if she wants to step up. You have 3 minutes.
Yeah, I won't take that long because I already spoke most of what I wanted to say. So just a quick recap. I've been in this district since 2006. I've also worked in 2 other districts and taught multiple different grades, so I think I have a pretty good perspective of a lot of different things. But when I spoke earlier, I mean, it's nervous being up here and speaking in front of everyone. Please understand that the comments I made and said were completely sincere. That's just how I roll. I may not always have the niceties, but I just roll with complete sincerity. And I say that because I hope that you are sincere in considering my comments, and I hope that in the future we can work together, because we all have the same clients. They're our community's children, and we work for them, and we're with them day in, day out. We understand safety issues, we understand students, we understand families, we understand how they learn, and we understand how to teach. And those are respectable things. Those are responsible things, and it is our job day in, day out, not only to make sure we ourselves are safe, but that those children are safe. And I cannot for the life of me understand that if we have district-wide and school-wide expectations of be respectful, be responsible, be safe, that we can't all get together as professionals and figure out how that COLA gets to its employees. I sincerely hope there is not vindictiveness going on, because that is so petty. We are professionals. We are a community. We need to treat each other with respect, be responsible to and for each other, and we need to have a safe place in which we can express ourselves as professionals, whether it's here at the boardroom or in negotiations. That just should be an absolute standard. I don't know how we can profess these are the things that we're supposed to teach if we are not modeling them day in and day out, if we are not striving for those. And so I just leave you with that, and I hope that you guys take that to heart, and I hope that you understand that I am very sincere in what I say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we have Jim Carpenter.
Good evening, everyone. I'm here because evidently there's some things that I just don't understand. We had, at the beginning of the 23-24 school year, an 0.2% COLA. We had substantial money set aside as a surplus, and yet we're told now none of that is left, and we cannot afford much of an increase in salaries. We've heard a lot about how our superintendent spent and spent and spent, but she can't spend on her own. She requires a majority of the board to go along with her. And my guess is in most of those votes, it wasn't a majority, it was unanimous. Now, if you've already spent all of that money and we haven't finished negotiating, that's pretty deliberate. That says that you never really intended for us to get much of a raise, that there were other priorities, other things that that money needed to go for, and we were not in that consideration. That just doesn't sound right. Lastly, my colleagues here and I, we get 10 paid sick leave days a year. If, during the course of our career, we are out more than what we have earned, that sick leave pay stops. And yet, we have a superintendent who hasn't been with the district that long, who's already been out months, but is still receiving her full salary, and has resigned 6 months from now and will continue to receive that full salary for that whole time. That doesn't make sense to me. What does she have that we don't have? A contract? Thank you.
Thank you. Our last Thank you. We have one last public comment. Angela Stiegel.
All right. Angela Stiegel, I'm president for the Marysville Unified Teachers Association. To basically reiterate exactly what Jill and Jim already said, I have to say that it has felt for quite a while now that we just are not a priority. And I understand that I've heard talk now of how, you know, things are going to be different. We're going to try to right the ship, and we're gonna. And I would just like to say that, like Jim just said, that ship was allowed to get off track, not by us. I mean, we tried saying for 3 years that the ship needed to be righted and needed to be put on track, and that never happened. Now suddenly it has. I think the board, for the longest time now, was blindly approving whatever was being put before them because you had a superintendent who was telling you that, you know, ignore the teachers, don't listen to what they're telling you. But I also distinctly know that I made mention, not just to board members, but to other people, that you had her dead to rights and you got played. And now we're paying for it. So what you're paying out to the superintendent that is now on leave, which like Jim said, is not what we would get paid, is on our backs. And it's just like everything. When you guys overspend, who pays for it? We do. Even though you didn't overspend on us, but now we're the ones that are gonna have to pay for it. And just as a reminder, that superintendent that you were listening to and the superintendent that you're paying out the nose right now to sit at home and eat bonbons while she's probably watching this and getting a good laugh, just so you remember, she is also the one who said in a meeting with a bunch of my unit members that she wouldn't work in this district one day without a contract. We've worked a year and a half. So it is time to realize that we have had enough. And we shouldn't have to do this anymore. And so it's time to prioritize, and it's time to make us first, because we deserve it. We're professional educators. We are experienced. We are qualified. We are here every day doing what is best for students. And what we're asking is that our board and our district, who is supposed to be doing right by us, actually do so. And like I said, she said she wouldn't work a day here, and you guys blindly followed along with what she was saying. We've been doing this for a year and a half without a contract. I think we've earned your ear, and we long ago earned your respect. And so now we just need that reciprocated. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to commend the board members, which will be retiring after this meeting. I think you guys have done a great job, and you will be sorely missed. So thank you very much. Meeting adjourned.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
Marysville, where roots run deep, McNally Appliances promises to keep the best brands with a smile on its face. We service what we sell, it's a warm embrace. Competitive pricing you can't ignore. With every purchase, you'll love it more. From fridges to washers, all in a line. We install with care to make it shine. Major brands, trusted and true. McNally Appliances is here for you. Oh, McNally, we're your first choice. In Marysville, we help you rejoice. We service what we sell, don't need to stress. At McNally Appliances, we're simply the best. Our promise stands, we'll always be here. McNally Appliances, bringing your cheer.
McNally Appliances, 119 D Street, Marysville. McNallyAppliances.com.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties.
In the heart of the valley, we rise so bright, where the news flows freely in the morning light. Yuba-Sutter.live, where truth comes alive. Every Tuesday's a journey, it's where we thrive. Watch it unfold. Yuba-Sutter.live, in the heart of our home. Be informed, be wise. Yuba-Sutter.live, we capture it all. Policy debates, hear the people's call. With Yuba-Sutter.live, you'll never miss a beat. Special reports hit hard, shining a spotlight. Yuba-Sutter.live.
Yuba-Sutter.live
It's the truth that comes through.